Moving on to presentations. Step down here. If all of our Tennessee strikers could come on up. Come on, guys. Come on around. Come on. Come on. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. We just, as a city, this is the first year for the Tennessee Strikers, and we want to take a moment and celebrate that first year and all the fun times and hard work that both these kids as well as the parents and even just volunteers. We have people who are not even, they don't have kids that play on this league. But we want to celebrate them and encourage more people to participate because y'all had fun this year, right? Mm-hmm. Y'all are going to do it again?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're going to strike again, I hope.
There you go. There you go. So let's all take a moment. Let's give them a round of applause and just. Good job, gang. Y'all can sit down.
Great job, ladies.
Wait, where?
Good job.
Alderman No has suckers for all you girls. I got one.
And they are off to practice. So moving on to department reports. Chief Clark.
Alderman. Month of June, we were, as you can see on your report, we had 271 calls. But I wanted to add a little bit to that, a few items that I want to bring to your attention. We had several to attend the officer school. That was about a 2-week ordeal. Active threat training in Murfreesboro, which we're in a collaboration with all the law enforcement and EMS and fire in the city, in Rutherford County. Also had an in-service on instruction techniques for company officers at Station 3. We've had engineer interviews. We've had battalion chief interviews. We've had firefighter selections. We've had a group to go to Swiftwater 2 in the Ocoee. We've had an ESO kickoff, which is our computer software that's up and coming. Fire and SWAT had training using the command post. We attended and participated in the air show on the airfield. We received delivery of our ballistic vest from Homeland Security, where each and every fireman will have their own ballistic vest. And then also we have received information that we received a grant from Christy Houston Foundation to complete all of our active threat equipment. Also, our inspectors attended a codes training in Brentwood, provided a PR event in Rock Springs, firework 10 inspections. They've became very numerous there for a little bit. Inspector 2 class, we have 2 individuals that passed the first Inspector 2 class in the state of Tennessee, and that is Fire Marshal Brinkley and also Life Safety Officer Alan McCormick. That's the first class in the state of Tennessee. We also canvassed the neighborhoods for fire alarms to make sure that everybody has fire alarms. And then we also had individuals to sign up for them to receive fire alarms in their homes. We've delivered over 50 fire alarms and we've touched 100 homes. So that's a pretty good month for fire prevention. Are there any questions?
Chief, if anybody's wanting a fire alarm or smoke detector, how do they get one of those for everybody?
They have a couple of ways. They can see our Facebook page and comment there. They can also call our fire admin. And then also they can stop by and register there at a fire station. We'll get the information and then we'll schedule them to install their fire alarms.
I know you put a couple different people in for me that I asked you about and just wanted to tell you thank you.
Yes, sir. Also, on note, we've been working on the emergency action plan for the senior center. We've got that finalized, and hopefully we'll be doing some in-services with them as well.
I know they are excited.
So,
One more thing, Chief. I just want to let the board know, the Nashville Airport was looking for a certified trainer to help out some of their staff on some research. I reached out to Chief Clark and put him in touch with their directors, and he's also going to be teaching through mutual aid some classes for some of the folks at the Nashville Airport. So I thought that was real good for our city.
thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Police Department, Chief Walker.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Alderman, for the month of June, we actually had something we haven't seen in a little while. We had a 3.3% reduction in the total calls for service for the month of June. It was down only 127 calls total, but still, that was the first time in a good while. Now, our calendar year to date, 18 versus 19, is up 19.1%, and that's 4,116 calls for service. But our fiscal year closed with 48,051 total calls for service for this just past fiscal year, which was 15.3% increase in 6,384 calls. And if things keep going like they've gone, the first 6 months as a whole, the second 6 months, and we're looking at somewhere between about 53,000 total calls for service. The other thing you all have heard, you've seen, you know, you all got these last week. For the public, they're out front, hands-free, driving. Counselor, don't be on your phone talking. Be bad for the lawyer to get one, wouldn't it?
I've already violated the law.
Oh.
Chief's going to talk to
Hands-free.
you afterwards.
Now, that's pretty much anything, but many vehicles now have the hands-free capability with it, and you can Bluetooth it. If you don't know how, I know an old guy that has learned and has it down pat now, how to change from car to car, getting it out of one into another. But it's something that we had to have, folks. So many people are being seriously injured or killed as a result of distracted driving. Distracted driving now across the board is one of our top contributing factors to serious bodily injury and fatal crashes in Tennessee. And that's the reason they did that. Now, we're kind of taking the approach to make sure that folks are aware of it and understand it and the severity of it and the hazards of it. And there'll be a lot more stopping and taking longer to handle that traffic stop down the road. So we ask people, please don't put us in that position. And we have school starting back in just a few weeks. And as a result of that, that's a higher fine, more severe penalty, or not being hands-free within a construction or work zone. We had 2 graduate last Friday. They started their FTO program. So we'll be glad in a few weeks to get those 2 out and on the road. We have 3 that go to the academy this coming Sunday. And once they're finished up in 12 weeks, then we'll have 3 more coming out and have their FTO program going. A few years ago, we worked really hard trying to help particularly our elementary school teachers. Because we heard that there were several out having to try to buy pencils, paper, things of that nature for the kids they were going to be welcoming to school, particularly in lower grades. They didn't have what they needed to learn. Education is important in today's world more than ever, but it's really hard to teach and for children to learn if they don't have the materials. So LPD, this year, we're going to kick it off and do it again. We're going to collect supplies that can be delivered to our elementary schools here in Laverne. We have a real high ratio of children who don't necessarily have the means. They're not old enough to do it themselves, and many times they don't have what they need when they go to school. So we're going to deliver those supplies to the schools and spread them out with all of our elementary grades, and be sure we have something there for the children. If we have to do it through the rest of the year, you'll hear me every month coming back again and again, inviting, and it's important: pencils, paper, crayons, wipes, sanitizing wipes or hand sanitizer, things of that nature. That's what they need. And if you want to contribute, that's awesome. We'd love for you to bring it to the police department and drop them off. As far as anything else is concerned, it's kind of quiet and peaceful. Uh-oh, I just jinxed it, didn't I? Quiet word. Any questions?
Chief, I just wanted to thank both you, your team, as well as Garland and his team and Chief Clark's team. When we had those storms roll through, part of Waldron Road had to be shut down because lights were down on the road. So y'all all had guys out there blocking the road, making sure people don't get hurt further, because we saw people almost slam right into them. So I want to thank all of y'all for that, because I mean, that's more time out in the weather, the elements, getting, potentially getting sick, and trying to take care of this community.
And I want to remind folks too, Laverne Police Department and Fire Department, well, Chris left, have both Twitter and Facebook pages that we're trying to get information out. We don't have anyone dedicated in either department full time, but Ann's not here 24/7 and can't. So especially nights like that and on weekends, and even Ann was texting me and we were talking that night. She was at home being able to see what was going on. When things like that are going on, look at those things. You're more than welcome to. That's why we have them, so people can keep up to date. Don't expect every little call to be put out there or every little thing to be put. We just don't have the opportunity for that. But when it's really critical in those situations, we're going to do our best to at least get information so folks know.
Chief, how are you going to put that information about the school stuff on your police page?
Yes, we will.
Good.
We
Let's
will.
get
We'll
that
do
out
it.
there and get it
We'll
shared.
do it on our Twitter account and also on our Facebook account.
Okay.
Both. And I'm sure Ann will help and put it on the city
Yeah, she's got
too,
nothing
and
else to do.
on the sign and all that.
You can even
Thank-
use the library sign out there.
Yes, we can.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Mr. Randolph Salyers with Codes. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, who is
Randolph, the podium's right there in the middle, just in case you forgot.
Let's see if I remember how to do this. Evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Alderman. The monthly report for June 2019, there were 11 single-family dwelling permits issued. There were 5 commercial permits issued. There were 24 miscellaneous permits issued, 1 sign and 1 grading permit. There were 9 permits for room additions and others, remodels, 1 mobile home. There were 5 commercial plan review. Our monthly revenue fees were $49,304.75, valuation at $12,342,000. Plumbing permits were 13 for single-family dwellings, 3 commercial. Mechanical permits, there were 13 single-family, 4 commercial. Complaints called in for the month, there were 86 for tall grass, 16 for junk cars in the yard, 33 others. Building inspections, there were 287 on the month. Impact fees were $109,365.40 monthly revenue with impact fees. Year-to-date total has been $738,864. Total number of single-family permits issued year-to-date have been 65. Total number of single-family permits issued during the same time period last year was 164. Total permits year-to-date was 229. Any questions?
I have a comment. While you were out, your staff and other municipalities, they helped us out, and they kept it together. So you should really be proud of
Well,
the team you got.
I wanted to take this opportunity too, before I leave this podium, to thank a lot of folks who were there. I can't do it.
I don't even think I heard any of them say anything bad about you,
Well,
Randolph.
there was, I'm sure there were a few that
Not
probably
even behind
would
your
have.
back.
There were a few that probably would have if you just found them at the right place at the right time. But I want to thank a lot of folks in this room, all of which who were just, I mean, they were super. The phone calls, the text messages, everybody that reached out. You know, it's quite a journey to be, you know, leaving the office one Thursday afternoon, as I normally do, and be gone for 4 months. Try that on for size. It's not, you know, undergoing heart bypass surgery is no easy thing for anyone to do. And of course, there was one gentleman in this room that has a little bit of history with that as well. But yeah, my staff, the ladies up front, Larry, the guys, they all, you know, they checked on me from time to time. Of course, we had a few conversations about one thing or another, business related. I mean, I did try to stay somewhat with the finger on the pulse, but I found out early on it wasn't something I needed to be doing, so I kind of backed off and got myself but to a point where I could get back. And I thank these folks. I'm blessed, truly blessed to be surrounded by the kinds of folks that I work with, that I call work family, because that's really and truly that's what these people are. They're like family. They're my work family, and I refer to them often that while I was home, you know, recouping, that I missed my work family.
From what we've
And,
seen looking in, we've seen planning and engineering and stormwater,
Oh, I
and I
know.
mean, just across the board, everybody
And that
jumped in
was
there.
touching to be at home and to see the things that folks are stepping up to the plate and taking care of. I know I came into the office a few days prior to my return, and I looked into this one particular room that I have there, and it was like, oh my God, I don't want to come back to that.
I didn't say it was gonna be easy.
But I was surprised that when I got back that had been handled. And I came back to a lot of gracious folks that were glad to see me back, or so they say. And I'm glad, I'm beyond happy to be back. I can't say enough thank yous to the folks in my department, in my building. Stormwater, planning, engineering, codes, you name it, everybody there was supportive of I mean, the retreat. You know, that was, you know, as I began to realize, I'm going to miss this. You don't know what it's like to be told that you're going to go home for 6 weeks. I said, what am I going to do in that 6 weeks? They said, nothing. And I mean, you know, what do you mean by nothing? They said, nothing, absolutely nothing. So for 6 weeks, I was home, and I'm realizing I'm going to miss the retreat. You know, my input there was I you know, of course, it got done. And those that were there to do it, well, I'm forever in their debt. So, I mean, I could stay here all night and go on and on and on. I won't do it because time won't allow. But I would like to point out that I did talk to Miss Cheryl the morning that I was driving myself to St. Thomas West, and it was reassuring to, I mean, for number one, to be in a position where I can drive myself there. I wasn't that bad of shape yet. But to be able to talk to someone and to have the assurance that everything's going to be all right, that was, you know, just thank you, Cheryl. Just to have that, go do what you got to do, take care of. Because I kind of knew. I mean, I knew, you know, and it was real surprised.
We're glad you're back.
See your cardiologist, have yourselves checked out. Give to the American Heart Association.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Randolph.
Glad you're back.
Parks and Recreation, Mr. David McGowan.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Alderman, you guys have the parks numbers for the month of June in front of you. Some of the past events, June 1st, started fall ball registration for baseball and softball. Also started football registration. June 4th, the farmer's market started for the season. June 28th was this past Friday. We had movies in the park. The Jungle Book was shown. Upcoming events, July 4th, this Thursday, is our Independence Day celebration. Gates open at 5:30, festivities start at 6. July 20th, we've got a block party planned from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. July 26th, music in the park at 6 p.m. And a few of the upcoming meetings, July 15th, Parks Advisory Committee, July 15th, Greenway Advisory Committee, and July 18th, Senior Advisory. Any questions?
The Senior Advisory Committee has been moved to 4:30. I think we covered all that, didn't we, Bruce?
Yes, sir, that's been
Okay. Just
advertised.
want to make sure David's coming in on the tail end, so.
I'll make a note of it. I'll be there.
Thank you
Any
so
other
much.
questions? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Finance Department, Ms. Phyllis Rogers.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Alderman. Tonight's report is year-to-date for May of 2019. We're 11 months into our fiscal year. The general fund revenues have exceeded expenditures by approximately $2.5 million. Local sales tax, we've collected approximately $7.9 million, which is about $864,000 better than we budgeted this time of the year, and $704,000 better than where we were this time last year. State Street Aid revenues have exceeded expenditures by approximately $171,000. Stormwater revenues have exceeded expenditures by approximately $160,000. And in the water sewer fund, the revenues have exceeded expenditures by approximately $2.1 million. Second page is our balances in our various bank accounts. And the third page is a comparison to prior year. In the general fund, revenues are up about $731,000. Expenses are up about $807,000. In the water sewer fund, revenues are up about $76,000. Expenses are up about $103,000, and tap fees are up about $91,000. Any questions?
Thank you, ma'am. Library, Ms. Donna.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Alderman. For the month of June, we were extremely busy. The attendance in the library was 9,326. Just to give you a little bit of an idea, in May, it was 5,000. So attendance 9,326, average per day 373. We issued 243 new cards. 133 of those were for the adults, 110 were for the juveniles. Reference questions answered, 1,595 plus probably about 1 million more. We circulated 11,095 items. We had 2,495 computer users. We had a total of 31 programs with an attendance of 1,304. And we currently have approximately 1,000 participants in our summer reading program. If you will see to the right of the report, I'm sorry, I'm not with it. I just got out of a program. I was helping out right before I came over with our science program. We made galaxy slime, and there were 70 people in there making galaxy slime. So if you see anything dripping off my dress here, that's probably the slime.
How do you make galaxy slime? I just
All
gotta
right.
know.
You've
Very
got to know.
carefully.
You take glue, and then you take glitter, and you put the glue in and the glitter, and then you add a little bit of baking soda, and you stir, 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 and then you take contact solution, the saline contact solution,
Where do you come up?
and squirt it in, and you keep stirring, and you keep stirring, and then you dump it in your hands, and then you squish it, and you pull it, and you squish it, and you pull it. Add a little bit more of saline, and you squish it, and you pull it. And then you have this awesome slime that just stretches, and I bet Trinity could probably tell you all about it.
Yes, you can.
And probably Desi and Carly could. Okay, does that answer your question?
I just had to know, Don.
Are you
Steve will
sure?
be there for the next one.
Come on over to the library, we'll be happy to help you. Miss Becky is our slime expert. You can see that there's some children's programs that we still have left for the month of July. We are ending on the 20th of July this year. We still have some magicians, we still have a wildlife program, and movie and popcorn, and of course Sam the Balloon Man. We're going to be doing our finale for our teens on July 20th. The adult finale has been extended. If you are in the adult summer reading program, you can still read and bring in your entries for the grand prize and for the box all the way through the end of the day on the 20th, July 20th. We'll be drawing on Monday for the grand prizes. So we wanted to extend it a little bit. Everyone's having so much fun bringing in those entries. We will be having a library board meeting on Monday at 5 p.m. And other than that, we're just doing great. Staff has really done a fantastic job this year, and we've stayed super busy. And as you can see, my mind is all over the place. So any questions?
You've got a great program there, Donna. I know every
We're
time I'm
doing
over
great.
there, that place is packed. There's
Yes.
people there. There's absolutely plenty of things to do and activities for anyone of any age in this community.
Perfect. That's good to hear.
Yeah, I've got to apologize. I have got to start coming over there more. That's, there's no excuse. So,
Do you have a library card with us?
I can't really read.
Do you know that we have audiobooks?
And DVDs.
I'm trying to be nice. Don't go embarrassing me.
No, I was just letting
No,
you
I
know.
just-
We have all sorts of great things for you.
Miss Donna, how's your husband's eyes?
Thank you for asking. It's about the same. He's still seeing two of me, and I know that we can all be
That's a
very
lot.
so sad for that. Emotionally, he's doing much better.
Good.
And we go back to the doctor in 2 months, and there's a possible another surgery that he's going to have, and hopefully that will straighten it up.
No question, with your support, he's going to be fine.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Water treatment plant. Mr. Gregg.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Board. In June, we treated 123.9 million gallons of water. We delivered 101.3 million gallons of water to the citizens of Laverne, with an average of 4.1 million gallons per day treated and 3.4 million gallons per day delivered. In the month of June, we collected and analyzed 41 bacteriological samples, with all of them passing. In June, our TOC removal was at 53.8%, with the requirement being of 15%. That's 3.6 times better than the required. A few maintenance items that got done in June: all the preventive maintenance has been completed. The installation of the blowdown on super pulsator number 4 took place. We actually got the chlorine and autofill back working again, and we installed some new eye washes in the carbon room and KMNO4 room to come up to standards. Again, we started at the end of May our unidirectional flushing program. We are well on our way to try to get that done within 3 months, maybe a little longer depending on weather conditions. In June, we used 338,749 gallons of water to complete this task. In June, we had 2 customer complaints, one quality and one pressure. The one with quality was they had some brownish water, and it actually was where we just were with unidirectional flushing. And
Spoken to that gentleman and gave him y'all's number.
okay, perfect. Yeah, by the time we got out there, it had cleared up, so I think he let his water run a little bit, so that worked out. And in the pressure, we got out there, they had plenty of pressure. We advised them to call a plumber to see what was going on. Any questions?
Can you give us an update on the Paul unit?
The Paul unit, it actually is in test mode right now.
Okay.
We expect next week to actually put it online and be
Wonderful.
utilizing it.
Wonderful.
I had it on my note and I skipped over it, so.
Not a problem.
I have more of a comment. The 2 complaints, we went from 15 complaints to 2 complaints.
Yes, sir.
So we're well heading in the right direction. We're so excited. I'm excited personally. And I know how hard you guys have worked, how dedicated you are to the plant. We see it in the tours, the different, the way you come to us with the needs and the wants, and that's what it took. So our hats are off. I'm so impressed with the way you turn things around.
Thanks.
Thank you. Public Works, Mr. Garland Russell.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Alderman. This is for the month of June. You'll see where we've had 1,600 and something brush pickups. We run 2 brush trucks for a while. The one we bought went down. Got it back. It ran for 2 days and had to take it back. But we got a lot done. You know, we usually have somewhere around 100,000 pounds a month. This come out to 338. We've been working some overtime to get caught up. The storms has not helped us any. Like I told you before the meeting, you know, we talk about how much brush we pick up, how much inmates we do, our vehicle in-house repair, but I've got guys that don't get recognized. You know, we get all the grass cut, the signs made, trim the bushes, coming out, staying out all night. And that would be Doug, Clint, Sterling, Austin, and Chandler. You know, like I said, I always talk about everything else we do, but they get the grass cut, they do the biggest majority of it. That brush truck, you got a few handles and you pick it up and you go, but they're the ones out in the hot sun, and I want to thank them. As far as fleet department, we had 38 vehicle repairs, 33 in-house, 5 outsourced, 29 maintenance, and some equipment repair, and 4 for the fire department, with a total of 4 hours for that. And I will say, I sent it to Chief Clark today. Thomas got his EVT training that he took, got it back in the mail today that he passed. And that was for pumps. It was 2 or 3 different things. I can't remember. I meant to bring it in with me. But he's doing a great job. All of them are.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to thank them all. Any questions?
I do. This tree stuff has been a big conversation on social media, as you very well know. Are you all taking that stuff to Florence Road, or you gotta take it to?
No, we're going to Florence Road
Okay,
now.
all
But
right.
the statement was made up there 2 weeks ago from one of the others that said, I guess we'll all be carrying it to the landfill.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. A good friend of mine works up there. He's actual supervisor, and they don't see any light at the end of the tunnel to get that new machine that they ordered last October. He told me Monday morning, that they had about 6 or 8 weeks left, and it would be completely full if they don't get that machine.
If we get all picked up in Laverne, they may be down to 4 weeks.
Yeah,
Because, I mean, that's how much is out there.
yeah, I know, and just wanted people to understand that, instead of taking it down there to where, you can kind of make a semi-quick return, if you end up having to take that stuff to the county landfill.
And I think 1,500 pounds is all they'll allow you to bring
Yeah, and I
in.
mean, it's not only that, but it's gonna be,
A nightmare.
it's probably a 2-hour, 2.5-hour turnaround, realistically, getting in and out of there, so.
It depends on how long the line is and where you're at.
Right, but, you know, people who are watching us right now need to understand that the brush truck is doing all it can do.
And speaking to Garland the other day on this subject, there's been some questions. Is there an area where residents can bring the branches to the city? And Garland has a clear point. The brush truck is for brush. It's not for the base of the tree or, 6,
No
8
lumber.
inches wide. It's to get trimmings and non-commercial product. Because what we're starting to see, if you hire someone to come to your house and they do, they're a professional tree service, they need to take it with them. You guys pay for that service. And the city is just overwhelmed, and you had a brand new truck go down, so you're doing the best you can do. I mean,
We just took it back
338,000
yesterday,
pounds of product.
and that's it. Well, how many loads was it? 180-something loads.
Yeah.
But we had one of the guys working all day in the street department, and he was picking up at 5 and working to 8 or 8:30.
Wow.
And then Friday and Saturday, the guy that operates it was coming in at 5:30 and working till around 3:30.
Right.
And it just backed up.
Yeah.
And you was talking about the commercial, I had a lady, I seen it on Facebook where she said she needed somebody to trim some trees and put it out front. She would pay them, so I didn't answer.
And we just need to stress that, if you're paying for a service, make the service go all the way through the process.
That's true.
That's what they're getting paid to do. If you're going next door to help your neighbor
That's
get
different.
a branch off his house and you cut it up, that's the city's gonna help you out, so.
Thank you, Garland.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Utility Department, Mr. Michael Dietz.
Mayor Alderman, good afternoon. For the month of June 2019, the Water Department had a total of 113 work orders. There were 0 mainline repairs, 7 service line repairs. We had 3 cleanups. Valves inspected and repaired for the month were 52. Our estimated gallons of water not sold was 108,860. Total overtime was 7. Meter Department had a total of 373 work orders. Our new meter sets were 3. Meter swaps were 87. Our customer requests for meters to be tested and reports to follow were 8. Meters tested were 2. We answered 246 Tennessee 1 calls, had 23 and a half hours overtime. Sewer Department was a total of 111 work orders, 65 service calls, 46 pump stations. Our final grinder pump inspections for the month was 3. Our manhole inspections and repairs were 84. Grinder pump rebuilds were 10, with a total of 39 and a half hours overtime. Also like to take just a quick second to congratulate and recognize a couple guys. Clint Spears, he passed his collections certification, so he now holds both water and sewer license. And Nicholas Jinks received his distribution and will be testing in November, and hopefully he will pass and receive his collections.
Wonderful.
Hey, Michael, with that said, are we retaining these staff members?
Yes, sir. For the most part, we have had a couple leave over the years, but not very many.
Good.
And a couple that advanced within the city to take on more or less a promotion in a different department.
And I guess the 0 mainline repairs is a good sign too. That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Stormwater Department, Catherine Green. The other Catherine Green tonight.
Good evening, everyone. For the month, May 16th to June 15th, I answered 24 calls. We created 7 new work orders. We have 2 that are in progress that are a little more, they take up a little time. We closed 2. The street sweeper only ran 4 days because it was down for 9 days. We had some seals that went out and they had to order parts, etc. We worked 17 days. We had 1 day of rain and 1 holiday, Memorial Day, and Mr. Warwick performed 133 construction inspections. A major project that we did do, and you should have photos in your packet, if you've noticed, if you've been on the Greenway lately, we had one area where it was designed with an 18-inch pipe and it just simply wasn't enough to carry the amount of water that came through. So we replaced that with 2 24-inch equivalent ellipticals. My crew went out, cut it, put it in, rebuilt the head walls, did everything themselves, and they did a beautiful job. It's absolutely beautiful, so you should be able to see pictures of that, and if not, take a walk along the Greenway and you'll see the great work that they did. We did a ditch repair on Mercury, and then just our typical maintenance. Again, the street sweeper was out a while. We had to do some work on it. getting rid of our debris that keeps, you know, collecting on the property behind us, separating our dirt and rock for use. Of course, we did all of our lawn care, and the concrete mixer had to be repaired and the backhoe. And then we did have some rains come through that we knew were coming few weeks ago, and so they went into all their known problem areas, you know, to make sure that drains and such were clean. Just typical, you know, maintenance work. So, any questions? Thank you.
Ms. Cheryl.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Alderman. Here is the Human Resource Report for June. We had 9 external jobs posted with 164 applicants, 3 actual new hires, 1 resignation, 0 terminations, 2 workers' compensation claims with 1 reliability claim. There were a total of 90 appointments with Care Here, 1 no-show, 3 HRAs were conducted with 2 short-term disability claims filed, for a grand total dollar amount of $362,699. Do you have any questions?
I have one question.
Yes.
Can you tell me how the no-shows affect our cost for the insurance, or does it?
We have a policy in place where the individual can have up to maybe 2 no-shows, and after the 3rd one, they would be responsible for paying out of pocket for that. But again, it really doesn't impact us, but they wanted to make sure that we weren't having to pay for that expense for them not showing up.
Okay,
But
so
that's
you
after a
keep
second
track of
time.
that, kinda.
Yes, we keep track of that.
I was wondering about that.
And it really hasn't been a major issue, but we do keep track.
It seems like it's just a couple of months, but I just wanted to know if that had a net effect on our, you know,
No,
price.
not too bad.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Cheryl, Alderman Noe and myself, we completed some classes with MTAS
Yes.
this last week, and one of the sessions were human resources. So it was a really good session. Our instructor, he spoke very highly of you, and in what we're learning as elected officials, if you send us to the class, we know the rules, and we can understand your job a little bit better. So I want to thank you. I didn't realize how much you had to do back there and how many different arms and legs that your department has, because you just don't know. We don't know that until we took the class, and now we know you have 5 departments in one department, really.
To put it in layman terms, I wouldn't have your job.
That's it in a nutshell.
Thank you.
But it really helped us. It did. It helped. I know it helped me, and I know it helped Alderman Noe. And now we understand a little bit better on what to communicate through you. And you're really our, from what we learned in class, you're really our check and balance to any questions we have throughout the city. You're our go-to, you know, for HR and things like that, in which we know that there's more to it than a title now. So just wanted to
Thank
share
you.
that with you.
Appreciate it. I love my profession, and I love working here, so
It's a
thank
tough
you.
profession.
Thank you,
Pretty
Cheryl.
sure you wouldn't want his job either.
Thank you.
Moving on to old business, second reading ordinance 2019-21, an ordinance to amend Title 8, Chapter 2 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding the sale of alcoholic beverages for on-premises consumption. Need a motion to approve or deny?
Make a motion, we approve.
A motion from Alderman Church to approve. Need a second.
I'll second.
Second from Alderman No. Alderman Church.
Aye.
Alderman No.
Aye.
Alderman Jones. Aye. Vice Mayor Brown.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion passes. Second reading ordinance 2019-22, an ordinance to amend Title 9 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding mobile food vendors. Need a motion to approve or deny?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve from Alderman No. Need a second. Second from Alderman Church. Alderman Jones.
Aye.
Alderman Church.
Aye.
Alderman No.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Aye.
Motion passes. Second reading ordinance 2019-23, an ordinance to amend Title 20, Chapter 2, Section 20-208 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding parks and recreation user fees. Need a motion to approve or deny?
I make a motion, we approve.
I have a motion from Alderman Church to approve. Need a second.
I'll second.
Alderman No is our second. Alderman Church.
Aye.
Alderman No.
Aye.
Alderman Jones.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Aye.
Motion passes. Consent agenda. Need a motion to approve or deny?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Need a second.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda passes. New business. First reading ordinance 2019-24. An ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2018-2019 general fund budget. Need a motion to approve or deny?
A motion to approve.
I have a motion from Alderman No to approve. Need a second.
A second.
And a second from Alderman Church. Alderman Church.
Aye.
Alderman No.
Aye.
Alderman Jones.
No.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Aye.
I vote aye. Motion passes. First reading ordinance 2019-25, an ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2018-2019 State Street Aid Fund. Need a motion to approve or deny?
I make a motion, we approve.
I have a motion from Alderman Church to approve. Need a second.
Second.
Second from Alderman No. Alderman Jones.
Aye.
Alderman Church.
Aye.
Alderman No.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Aye.
Motion passes. First reading. First reading ordinance 2019-26, an ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2018-2019 Senior Citizens Fund budget. Need a motion to approve or deny?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion from Vice Mayor Brown to approve. Need a second.
A second.
And Alderman Church seconds. Alderman Church.
Aye.
Alderman No.
Aye.
Alderman Jones.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Aye.
First reading passes. First reading ordinance 2019-27, an ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2018-2019 Streets Capital Projects Fund budget. Need a motion to approve or deny?
Make a motion, we approve.
I have a motion from Alderman Church to approve. Need a second.
Second.
I have a second from Vice Mayor Brown. Alderman Jones.
Aye.
Alderman Church.
Aye.
Alderman No.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Aye.
First reading passes. First reading ordinance 2019-27, an ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2018-2019 Parks Capital Fund, Parks Capital Projects Fund balance. Sorry about that. Need a motion to approve or deny?
Make a motion, we approve.
I have a motion to approve from Alderman Church. Need a second.
A second.
Vice Mayor Brown seconds. Alderman Church.
Aye.
Alderman Jones.
Aye.
Alderman No.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Aye.
First reading passes. Number 12, first reading ordinance 2019-29, an ordinance to amend Title 15, Chapter 8, Section 15-801 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding the adoption of state traffic statutes. Need a motion to approve or deny?
Make a motion, we approve.
I have a motion to approve from Alderman Church. Need a second.
Second.
And Alderman No seconds. Alderman Church.
Aye.
Alderman No.
Aye.
Alderman Jones.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Aye.
First reading passes. First reading ordinance 2019-30, an ordinance to amend Title 15 and Title 3 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding electronic traffic citation regulations and fees. Need a motion to approve or deny?
I make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve from Alderman No. Need a second.
A second.
And Alderman Church seconds. Alderman Jones.
Aye.
Alderman Church.
Aye.
Alderman No.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Aye.
Motion passes. First reading ordinance 2019-31, an ordinance to amend Title 15, Chapter 6 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding parking. Need a motion to approve or to deny?
I make a motion, we approve.
I have a motion from Alderman Church to approve. Need a second.
I'll second.
Alderman No seconds. Alderman Church.
Aye.
Alderman No.
Aye.
Alderman Jones.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Aye.
Motion passes. First reading ordinance 2019-32, an ordinance to amend the Laverne zoning ordinance to increase the allowed building height in certain zoning districts. This received a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission on June 25th, 2019. Need a motion to approve or deny?
I make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve from Alderman Church. Need a second.
Second.
Alderman No seconds. Alderman Church.
Aye.
Alderman No.
Aye.
Alderman Jones.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Aye.
First reading passes. Resolution 2019-14, a resolution electing directors of the Industrial Development Board for the City of Laverne. And I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Second.
For discussion?
Well, that's what I was going to say, is before we vote, I want to ask our economic director or specialist, Mr. Tom Baroker, to come up and talk to us a little bit. There were some questions at the workshop about the IDB, and if you could just go through that with us, please.
Sure. First of all, just the sole reason for an IDB is to attain, lease, sell, and then dispose of property. That's the sole purpose. And in doing so, you're going to spur economic growth, whether it's through industry or something else. I think Alderman Church, Alderman No, you've had the questions. I wrote your questions down. If you don't mind, I'll just go through them real quick. And I gave you a big packet, so a lot of these answers are in there. So I'm not going to be redundant. If you have questions about that, I'll answer it as well. Matt, you asked basically, and Steve, I think you asked the same thing, who does the IDB report to? Bottom line, they report to you in one sense. Once they're incorporated, they will be a standalone department or standalone board, but they will report to you. In any economic impact plan has to be approved by y'all. So they're going to, and it has to go through a public hearing by state statute. So let's say in 3 months they come back, and meanwhile, let me just say up front, we will have an attorney, probably Tom Tran or whomever you all choose, or Mark Mamatoff or any of the ones that specialize in this, that will help the new board through. I think your vision obviously will show through, and then of course I would hope they would listen to staff and what's happening and so on. So once that plan is presented to you, you approve it, deny it, tweak it, do whatever, tell them to go back and work another month until it is you all are in favor of it. If there is any amendment to that down the road, then it would also then have to come back in front of you. If there's any incentives down the road, they have the right, once you approve that. Let's just give big box A, whomever that may be, and they're coming to, if you approve an area, you can give them the ability to incentivize that deal. What I mean by that is this. There's many different ways to incentivize. The obvious, I heard TIF come up the other night, I heard pilot come up the other night. There's many other ways to do so. But you would have agreed upon that in that economic plan. Now, each deal is going to be separate. For instance, going back to 2014, when the deal was with the Browning deal that took TJ Maxx and Hobby Lobby down to Smyrna, that was in Laverne first. Again, my real opinion is that particular developer may have used that piece of land to leverage against another piece of land they wanted and kind of got their best deal. Whatever it was, a TIF came up. So having said that, it wasn't in place. And as you see, this took 4 or 5 years to get together. We want to have the ability, once there is a deal, and 3 of you all have gone to various conferences with us or been on the economic development team for quite some time. I mean, the first question is, what are your demographics? Can it support my business? What's your segmentation like? And then from there, is there any incentives? I think I've heard one time in my 2 years doing this, or even my previous 7 years, I've never heard one developer say, hey, I don't want help. I mean, obviously they're there to make money. So having said that, Matt, I hope that's answered your question. Do you want to follow up with that as far as who they answer to?
Yes. I understand a little bit better since our conversation.
Sure.
When you met with me. We had a really good hour lunch and learned a little bit, and then we had our workshop here. I learned a little bit more. I actually spoken to other members of other boards throughout the area, and my biggest concern, and a lot of the people in Laverne that are questioning, it's not that we don't want this, it's just we're trying to understand it. So can you explain the TIF for the citizens?
Sure. So basically, it can get very deep. And again, if you want it that deep, you may want to get Tom Trent in here because there are turns and twists.
We don't want a 240-page email deep.
It was 281, but
Okay.
at any rate. So basically this, if you don't mind, I'll use that particular site there. It was going to be a property tax site, meaning it's affectionately termed throughout the country as the whole. It's the area right behind Target. At that point in time, we had Hobby Lobby, Shoe Carnival, I think other names like Moe's and Five Below who also went over there. So in the last 5-10 years since the recession, and obviously since Amazon bought everything out and everyone's buying everything online, major retailers are very apprehensive on building. It's why you don't see big malls anymore. Or even a Best Buy will scale down from what used to be a 28,000 square foot building to now a 12,000 square foot building. They'll only pay a certain amount of money because the bottom line is they don't want to get caught with these big shells of buildings and so on. So you're a developer, Matt, I'm going to put you in that shoes for a second. You're bringing in those people and you say, okay, my development costs are this. This is the only thing we're going to get from these national retailers. So there's a bridge is what they'll call it, basically. Say they're short. In that particular case, I want to say it was, if I remember correctly, Bruce, 6 million, something, 6-7 million, something like that. So a TIF basically does this. If your property tax, I think back then, I don't know what it is now, it was $110,000 for that piece of property they pay every year in property taxes. But it was only worth, X amount of dollars. With them building it out and adding development there, it may have gone up 5 times or 10 times the amount. So basically, an IDB would then leverage. So, and I'm going to get to your next question that you asked about banking, but it ties into that a little bit. So what an IDB then can do is leverage for a city, again, this is where I told you can get deep, so stay with me here. A city can only do a TIF, and this is something we didn't know, for 10 years or below without the help of the county. But we were told 5-10 years ago that we needed the county. The county's portion is a lot bigger than ours. It would make sense. It would help pay off that debt a lot sooner. So what I'm saying there is, if we did it in a TIF for a 10-year period, and let's say we could bridge that gap in that 10-year period, you're basically taking the difference in the sales tax or difference in the property value of what it was, what it is, and then there's a certain formula that's worked out. And again, not knowing what the cost is, I'm not going to try to break it down there for you. But you're basically leveraging the property tax. That particular deal came in, they said they were going to bring in $1.5 to $2 million a year in sales tax, versus right now the city's getting $110,000. So what would you rather have, 2 million or and then it happen to be on an annual basis and have it developed and have it bring activity to your city, have a place where your people can shop, or just say, hey, we're not going to incentivize anyone. And quite frankly, I will get into the history in a minute. That's the reason that particular site in 1999 did not develop. As this board knows, there's $430,000 allocated to that particular site right now. I believe we did that in 2011. But back in 1999, you would have had a TJ Maxx, you would have had a J.C. Penney's. But I'm not going to point fingers and so on, but back then, I don't think the city was ready to do that. Matt, if I can continue with this, what I'm telling you is I have never seen since 2010 the interest that's here now. I had a talk with a gentleman today that basically said, you are the last really undeveloped market. There's other things that are happening with this. But honestly, if you're Big Box A, where would you rather be? Medical Center Parkway, Sam Ridley, Providence, Cool Springs? So by us making a TIF district or so on, and again, I'm going to continue with this. I'm trying to be brief, but it's really not brief. This is a way for us, as I've heard several times, to get on even playing field with other cities. I can say this, and I won't name the name, but the mayor and I have had a conversation with somebody that there isn't one person in Laverne would not want to have. And you know what they told us? And they told me 2 years ago, point blank, they want to be in Murfreesboro. It's our model, it's our market. But we got our foot back in the door because they said, look, City A won't do this, won't do that. What can you do? And we've continued to do this. Now, I don't know. I mean, this is a far stretch. I mean, it will be a grand slam if we wind up getting that actual deal. but we're, at least our foot's in the door and we're still talking.
So Tom, with everything you're saying, I'm learning. So my questions, please bear with me. The biggest fear that a lot of people have in Laverne
Yes, sir.
is what's going on currently in the county and the city of, or surrounding cities. We won't say name cities. But from what information we've been provided, as you go out and you make the deals with this industrial board, and it's to help with, like you said, you know, property tax, sales tax, it's like night and day. I'm sure finance will agree, you know, we want the sales tax revenue more than we want the property tax.
Sure.
But this has been done in other cities, and there's been positives, but there's also negatives to it. Some of the negatives is property tax increases, because there has been deals made, and over a time, over a 5-year, 10-year, 15-year time, there's residents throughout the county and cities that are having to pick up the bill. And what I want to do is to educate myself on this, to reassure the citizens, if we're going to have this group, and I think it's needed. I'm not against this.
Yes.
I just need to learn a little more
Let
about it.
me use your mind right now. So let's say we did that TIF, right? And Steve is Alderman Noah is the developer. He's 18 months into it, and he just defaults. He's done. He walks away. City's not on the hook for nothing. The IDB's not on the hook for nothing. That developer, that property owner, that retailer is. And also, he gets in there and says, I'm bringing this many jobs, let's say on the industrial end. I'm going to bring in 100 jobs. It turns out he brings in 40. Well, we incentivize about 100. We can have clawbacks. We can get that money back. We can have performance incentives. And it's all going to be spelled out by someone much smarter than me.
Right.
So thank you for acknowledging
I want to
someone.
acknowledge that there's someone smarter than you out there.
You know what I'm saying. So the city will not be on the hook for anything. As far as their increased property taxes, I will say this. So let's say I think our overall goal, you and I conversation of about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, we have some places in Laverne that needs to spruce up their properties. And in doing so, it's going to increase property values.
Right.
Increased property values, what does that lead to? Increased property taxes, right? If you were a $100,000 home, now you're $200,000, you're going to pay more. But that's also going to help recruiting.
Right.
That's also going to mean go out there and sell to I don't have a demolition derby next to a place I'm trying to sell Burlington Coal Factory to.
Okay.
So I hope that's answered that. I can't speak to, I know of no time that there's been additional sales tax other than when property values have gone up because you've raised the quality. And I think I've heard that from each of you, that
Right.
that's what we're trying to bring in is quality.
I just want to caution you for future endeavors as we make deals, or whatever you call them, the TIFs, and have this board, when we say the developer's on the hook, this city has been in that position before where the developers have left us on the hook, and the taxpayers $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 worth of infrastructure that we as taxpayers, bonds were in place, everything was crossed, everything was dotted. At the end of it, bankruptcies came out, the city held the purse. And we need to remember that. And like you said, there's going to be somebody a lot smarter than both of us that's going to review the deals and the contracts. And again, I think it's needed.
And you're going to review it as well.
We just want to make sure, what do we know? I mean,
when you had something in place, and I sat in the very seat, I think there was a different seat there, but when some of that stuff happened, okay, you weren't under a TIF, you weren't under a pilot, you weren't under any incentivizing, okay. The point is here, we will have that, and it'll be spelled out.
Great.
And I can, and that Tom Trent or Mark can come in and talk to. The city's not on the hook. Again, going back to your banking question that you had. There are ways that the IDBs will have money in their accounts, and they can generate monies, and they're kind of a revolving deal that once they get money back in, they can maybe incentivize some other project.
And how do they get their revenue?
Well, typically, most IDBs do not have much of any revenue, but I'll give you an example. So Big Box A comes in, and they want to fill out that application. Many cities will charge an application fee. And my guess, it's not $15 or $18 or $81. It's something big because they're about to ask for $1 million. So I don't know if it's based upon the amount of how much they're requesting, how much of the bridge, whatever it is. But I know other cities have done that. They can when they get this property. So again, Matt, if there was a TIF in place right now, and it had 5 retailers, the IDB owns that property. okay, until everything is, all the commitments are paid off, and at which time typically it's a nominal amount. You then turn around and give it back to Best Buy for $1 or $10 or $100 with something small because they fulfill their commitment, and it's usually 10, 20 years down the line or 5 years down the line, and the city's raking in $200, $1,000 more a year from that particular.
I understand that part of
Okay.
it. That's some of my fear. When you say they own it, will the city be bonding the properties? Will we be signing the notes? What financial obligations will the city have?
The city has no obligation. I'll give you an example. You asked a question. Now, I told you, we could be up here 5 minutes or we could be up here 5 hours, but I can keep answering these.
Right.
I mean, so you asked another question earlier on. You said, yes, on Thursday, you said, can this particular board, can they purchase property? Absolutely they can. I won't want to speak for the mayor, but I think what he was saying is that it would have to come through you all. I mean, they couldn't just say, oh yeah, we want this and go do that. They can purchase property. In fact, that's what they're designed for. And I gotta just tell you across the board, I think there's 95, 96 counties, every one of them has one. Our county has one. And I get into that history and why it's important we have our own and not rely on that IDB based upon history. So this is not a negative thing. The city's not on the hook for anything. They are incentivizing, they are leveraging monies that are coming down the road. Property taxes that, look, if they turn her into a place that's bringing in $2 million a year in sales tax dollars, and we leveraged, $100,000 a year in property taxes, after 10 years, we got 20 million versus 1 million. So we're coming out ahead in this.
Take your time there. Don't press too much.
The most important thing is we want to make sure if they're going to have an account, if the city's not affiliated with their account, will our finance department be involved? If we're given the incentives,
I'll give you examples. It could be. So if this board said, and Matt, you and I have had the conversation on 3 or 4 different occasions, there's properties here that we would like to see develop a certain way, right? So let's just say it's a house on Jones Mill Road, right? Just use where you live, okay? And it's a business on Jones Mill Road. I guess what I'm trying to say is you are not on the hook at all, but if you came back and you said, this board got together and said, look, we think this is a prime spot for a Bass Pro Shop, okay? And you know what, let's purchase it. Let's go to our IDB, we could gift them whatever it would take to buy that land and get it going. 3 million, 5 million, 2 million, 500,000. So in that case, I would imagine Phyllis would pretty much be involved in that particular deal, right? I mean, your finance department would. But you all would have to approve it.
So the revenue to purchase any property will be through the city?
There's lots of different ways, but I just gave you one.
Right.
Okay? If you're going to purchase property. Now, a tip, before any of that talk, and before our discussions of this month, last month, and previous times, the role I foresee in an IDB is a typical TIF or typical pilot. Payment in lieu of taxes, okay, which you see all along. Guys, I'm going to give you the state of Laverne. You are in a good spot. You are in a spot right now that I think a lot of other cities in this state would like to be. Now, we're not Smyrna, we're not Mount Juliet, we're not Murfreesboro yet, okay? But you are challenged. You're challenged for the sole reason that Smyrna got out ahead of us. We have a better demographic than Smyrna, but guess what? Kohl's isn't going to build a second one because they're already there. We're not going to get another Home Depot right around on Murfreesboro Road because they're already there. So we got in behind the game. So, and let's face it, you go by activity. I saw the most disgusting thing I've ever seen as far as economic development goes. I got with Uber Media when we got back from Recon. We have X amount of employees, and it's a lot more than y'all think. But what this does, it's all done by data on your phone. And between the hours of 12 and 1, well, let's go back to 11:30. Everyone's working. They're at, Howell Quaker. They're over on Ingram. They're Ajax Turner, wherever they are. You hit 12 o'clock, and it's like this mad rush of red just goes and Laverne is green. That's leakage. That's money we're losing. We're going to have to do something. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying to you right now, Matt, and I please do this. In the back of there is a phone number to Tom Trent. The guy will spend a lot longer, and you probably get a lot more talking to him as far as what's the positives. I'm not saying there hasn't been things that have done negatively. That's why we have council. That's why they have to put it in. This gentleman here, him and Mark Mamatoff are the premier in the state of Tennessee. One's out of Knoxville, one's out of Nashville. And they've done deals in every county in the state. If it's structured right, the city is not on the hook for anything. Now, here, let me give you this one more example. You get into a pilot deal and they shut down 5 years later. You build it into there, that money that we were incentivizing them, they owe you that as well. Now, can they go bankrupt? People can do that. And I think that's more what you were kind of pointing at, you know, when you were talking about another developer or so on. One more thing too, Matt, though, we talked about, again, sprucing up. You can use a TIF district to go to existing businesses that are going to stay here for the next 30 years, 40 years, and incentivize them, okay, to make their property look better. In
Tom,
doing so, helps me, sir?
We can use that for, like, as an example, with Murfreesboro Road, with improving that look and feel.
And something that you all don't know, and so Murfreesboro Road, and it's again, this is sad, but it's a good thing. We are, city of Laverne and the town of Smyrna to a point. I can show you all the map. We basically are in a distressed area according to the Census Bureau, and we're in what's called New Market. I'm going to bring this up and let you all, and I'll give this copy over to you. The orange is extremely distressed. The yellow is just distressed. But basically, anybody that comes in can will get a tax credit from federal government, from the Treasury Department. Okay, and you can do so over a 7-year period and get up to 39% of that money back. Now you add all of a sudden incentivizing, help these developers bridge a gap. These people are getting developments where they can't get it in Murfreesboro because they're not sitting like that. But we all know the problem on Murfreesboro Road. We all know what we want to see. We know what's there now, and we're not. The question that you and I talked about: if they're here and they want to be here and they're mom and pop and I want them to stay as long as they're successful and so on. But don't do something that is a detriment to you, another property right next to you, and I can't go in and I can't bring a restaurant in. I can't bring in a grocer. I can't bring in something else. And I think all of you on this board know that there are at least one major deal that is very, very, very close. Now, I must say that, and I'm going to use Michael Dietz's deal of knocking on something because it could fall apart tomorrow. We've seen it happen before, and not just in Laverne. But I'm telling you, if you picked anyone up here, I'm not saying we're not working hard, and I not love my job, but things are going right now like they've never been before. And I can tell you, when I stand in front of you next year, or I stand in front of you 6 months from now, I can come back and say, this is what we got going. You know, look at Racetrack. We met with Racetrack back in August, all right? It was kind of an odd deal. We thought they were going to go to BP. They've already came in and submitted to you all. And it's a pretty nice little plan. And just to continue on, the things that we're hearing, that whole area of the I-24, people are not just wanting to come in and try to find a piece of land. They're wanting to come in and buy out people, redevelop, if people want to sell. And quite frankly, they're big major corporations. That's kind of the new thing right now. I could continue. I'd love to sit with each of you. I've asked each one of you to come to my office, call me, and a lot of you have taken me up on it. There's a lot of positive things happening, you know. But Matt, what we can't do anymore, in my opinion, is not act and just hope that something lands. When we're losing $110 million a year in leakage just in food alone. In other words, when you take your wife out to dinner, your kids out to dinner, I mean, I like Mexican, but I don't like it every day of the week, right? So there's not much more we can do if you want to have a nice sit-down. Now, we're working on that. And I'll just let another cat out of the bag. You have something coming in September. So I will let that company certainly come in. But there's a lot of things happening. But, Matt, I think we have to roll the dice a little bit. And I'm not saying this is rolling the dice. Every major city around us that's successful is doing this. Smyrna. I didn't know this until Bruce told me about 2 months ago. Smyrna kind of sat back and didn't say nothing when we were looking on it for the IDB. The bottom line is it is a tool. It is a tool that will put us on a fair playing field. So if that eases people's minds, and here's if again, Tom Broker doesn't sit up in his office and say, I want this deal. That deal comes before you all. If you vote on it, great. If you don't, we go back to the drawing board. We go find something that everyone agrees upon. So, but the city is not on any hook. Now, if you all chose to buy some property, then that, again, would be your decision. It would not be economic development, city planner, city administration. You know my thoughts, and I've talked to you individually, and I've talked to y'all. I think we need to do something here. Our economic window is closing somewhat, just if it's this cycle. But like we talked about 2 years ago, we thought there was a 2-year window. And look what South Nashville's doing to Antioch. You know, you got the outlets coming in. Look what they're doing right up Murfreesboro Road. Do we want to compete with another area again right next to us? Or are we going to get out ahead and do, you know, we'll put in 80, 90 hours. We'll run anywhere. We'll talk to anybody. You call me at 11:39 on Sunday, a developer, and it's happened, I'll sit up all night and talk with you and give you any demographic you want. But we've got to do something to get this going right now, in my opinion.
So, Tom,
Sir,
for you coming in tonight, I appreciate it. For you putting the packet together, I appreciate
Sure.
it. I have one question for you. In your professional opinion, as our economic development director, having this board, will it better the future for the citizens of Laverne?
I will tell you something, I said it to Alderman No. There's a lot of things that I have asked for, said, hey, I think this would be a good idea, we could try this. By far, this is the #1 thing that I've asked for in a year.
All right.
And one more thing, Matt, we may never use this, other than them getting set up. This may not be, they may not meet for a year. They may meet in 3 months. It's not something they have to meet, but let's have it in the toolbox so we can pull it out if needed. And that's all, that's the only reason. You're all of a sudden, a small town Laverne, 41,000 people are now on the same playing field as Murfreesboro, who's 145,000. Because you can do the same things they can and more, because not only is if you all, or the IDB would incentivize, you have federal tax credits that work here. You have, we have a brownfield. Everyone knows what a brownfield is. Basically, it's a field that is either hazardous or it's deemed hazardous. It could be an old dry cleaner, it could be an old, we have some, and I'm not gonna name properties, but you know what I'm talking about. Bill Lee just signed in, as of April 30th, you can use a TIF to actually mediate that. And you know the cost, that's your field, what would it be to work on something like that. I don't know, I lived here too, Matt, and someday I'd like to be sitting over there, I don't know there, but somewhere I'd like to be sitting and having dinner or shopping or doing something rather than what things have been, right? So that's just something that, you know, yes, so the answer is yes, I absolutely would.
So here's my comment.
Uh-oh.
Tom, the little map you handed us about the stress, and we won't get into a big, long, drawn out, but.
Distress, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Murfreesboro Road, from the Davidson County line to the end of Smyrna, looks the same to me.
Agreed. And if
They
you
all
look,
got the same, they got a McDonald's, they got a restaurant, they got a
Sure.
auto parts. So I don't put a lot of emphasis when somebody says, why can't we be like Smyrna on Murfreesboro Road? We're not any better or worse, we're the same. Now, Waldron it is, but getting back to Alderman Church's question.
but please let me answer that, because I'm a.
Well, it's
I'm
not
great-
a question, it's
but-
just
but-
a comment.
But I'm trying to clarify it so you understand. I'll take Laverne over any place, anywhere right now. It's my home, I love it, I want to make it better. But it's not me that said that, that's the federal government.
No,
That's
I'm
wh-
just
That's
saying-
why they say it's distressed.
I'm just saying that when people make comments
Sure.
about that, they need to look at Murfreesboro Road as a whole and think about what's over there and then what's over here, and you're not gonna find any difference. Maybe a little bit. But my question is this, to follow up with Matt's question, and I don't wanna beat a dead horse, I don't wanna talk about the past, but if this board is supposedly supposed to help this good, and all of our other people had them, I'm just curious why we're just now.
Why you're just now doing it? Now,
Yeah.
I know actively we've been working on it, Bruce, since 2014. I think that's about when we did the Browning contract. So
So it's never come before
So-
this board then?
it's never come before the board to this point. Now, going back 2 boards that I sat on, there was discussion, we never took it to a vote. I can't tell you where they vote, I would guess where they would go. I mean, we were looking to you know, be progressive. We were looking to bring, you know, commercial into Laverne. Why it hasn't happened, Steve, when I go in front of the people, and several people have been there, I don't think you'll see a more passionate person, but I also am honest. The city leaders, for whatever reason, chose another direction. What I see us doing as economic development right now is you have a big puzzle, and you've put it out there. If we had 25.3 square miles right now, I guarantee you that we would plan it differently than what it is right now. So we're trying to fix this in, put this in over here and see if it fits, trying to do that.
Well, I think it's our turn to, lack of better words, not roll the dice, but at least get things going, and we need to get this on a stick and see what happens.
Any more questions?
I guess with that said, I make a motion that we approve.
Already have a motion and a second. So,
Yeah,
thank you, Tom.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Baroka.
Let's vote on it.
Tom, did you need this?
Go ahead, Mayor.
Alderman Jones.
Aye.
Alderman Church.
Aye.
Alderman No.
Yep.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Aye.
And so, that passes. That resolution passes. Moving on to Resolution 2019-15, a resolution of the City of Laverne Board of Mayor and Aldermen to declare property owned by the city to be surplus to the city's needs and directing disposal of the same. Need a motion to approve or deny?
Make a motion we approve.
I have a motion to approve from Alderman Church. Need a second.
Second.
Second from Alderman No. Alderman Church.
Aye.
Alderman No.
Aye.
Alderman Jones. Vice Mayor Brown.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Moving on to number 18 is the Economic Development Advisory Committee. We've got 3 terms expired. We have 2 current applications, so I will advise to put Graham Coates and Nathaniel Holtzman back on the board, and the 3rd position we will advertise to the public for people to advertise. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Clark not coming back, you said?
No, he is not coming back.
Okay.
I'm really sad to see him go because he's served on the board for 7 years. And he
Yes.
Speaker, too.
8 years, sorry.
He has served quite a while and helped us out quite a bit, but with his business, it's growing, and that's a good thing for him.
Right, that's a good thing for him, but it's a loss for the city.
Yes. Mayor and Alderman comments. Alderman Church.
Yeah, we got a lot going on. I want to thank the board for letting me be a part of getting that budget passed for the staff and the citizens of Laverne. It was really a lot of hard work, a lot of man hours went into the budget from the department heads all the way down to, you know, the staff that went to the department heads, and we successfully got it through. I'm excited about the economics future of Laverne. Tom and his staff have been working really hard, of course, with the mayor and the Economic Advisory Board. I want to stress to the citizens that our goal isn't to replace the ma and pa companies that have helped create Laverne. Our goal is to energize them. That's my personal goal. You know, we want to spend our money in Laverne as much as we can, and we want to help them get it cleaned up. And I want to reassure the business owners, maybe we can go to the property owners, because if you're a business and you're leasing the property, there's only so much money you can put into something that you don't own. So it's important that maybe as this new board can help solicit that in a matter that is legal and proper, instead of getting it all confusing when you send an elected official in there. So I'm excited about the next session of the city. It's been a bumpy road this year, and I'm still here, and I just want to let the citizens know that there isn't a day that goes by that I don't wake up thinking, what's the next chapter of the city? So we're going to continue to push forward, and I really appreciate all the support that I have out there. That's all I have. Thank you.
Alderman No.
I just want to thank everybody for helping out with the Senior Citizen Center. I'm not even going to begin the list of names. It's just longer than I'd be here. I'd be longer winded than Tom Broker. Or Mike Walker. Also, 4th of July, day after tomorrow, Thursday night, we want everybody to come out. 5:30, the gates open. Music starts at 6. Fireworks will start at dark 30. And like Alderman Church, I'm really excited that we got the budget passed, and now we can move forward and move on, and good things will be happening.
Alderman Jones.
I too would like to say I'm glad that we did get something accomplished in getting the budget passed. And I also like to remind everybody that I do agree that we still got some of the same stuff, and the road is still bumpy. So don't think that you're riding smooth right now. So let's see what tomorrow brings us.
Vice Mayor Brown.
No, thank you.
Well, I want to, of course, thank Lance Lee for his invitation. I went just a couple of weeks ago with the Motlow barbecue fundraiser, and that was a great thing to see as far as growth, because we have so many students here, whether it's Laverne High School students or students who've gone back to college or starting college with Motlow. So that was a great thing to see. I want to remind everybody about the block party on the 20th. Alderman No has already spoken about the Independence Day. We've got at the very beginning of August, which I believe this is right before our next meeting, we've got National Night Out with the Police Department and Fire. We've got Music in the Park coming up on the
What day is that on?
National Night Out. It's on the first Tuesday
First Tuesday.
of August.
Okay.
We've got Music in the Park happening on the 26th of July, so lots of events are happening. Want to remind everyone to please make sure you're careful. There's lots of people out with fireworks. Make sure you're using them responsibly, and we don't want to see spikes in calls where people are getting hurt. That's never a good thing, so please make sure you're using those responsibly. And then I want to thank, of course, Phyllis, Bruce, Kyle, this board, and all the directors who were involved with the budget, getting that passed and through. It was a long, drawn-out ordeal, and we finally got there. So last but not least, want to say tonight is my wedding anniversary, my 14th wedding anniversary. Tomorrow's my 21st year for me and my wife having met. So want to just tell her happy anniversary. I love her. And call this meeting adjourned.
All right.